I wanted to make this little film for you because I never told you the story, did I? About how I made a remarkable recovery from a stroke. It was back in 2008, and I was under a lot of stress. My dad had Alzheimer's, and my mother had vascular dementia, and there was a lot of stress, and I was trying to run a business. And so it was one day I was just digging in the garden, and I felt these pins and needles just come down my right side, and I couldn't stamp them out. And then suddenly I started to walk strangely, and I thought I'd done something to my back because I'd been digging in the garden. And and I rang my wife and I said, "Look, I've done something to my back. Can you take me up to the hospital?" So I went up to the hospital, and when I got out of the car, I tried to undo the safety belt with my right hand, and it was completely my right arm and right hand were completely paralyzed. And as I got out the car, I could feel the power in my right leg going, and uh, uh, and in front of me I could see the the entrance to the accident and emergency department. And I kept saying, "I can get there, I can do this, I can get there, I can do this." And it was funny because I just got to the beginning of the A&E department, and my right leg gave way, and they put me into a wheelchair, and they wheeled me in. And at first they thought it was a clot, blood clot, and they kept talking about this procedure called thrombolysis, which, if they do it in time, it can actually release the clot and get movement back fairly rapidly. And I thought that was going to happen to me, but then they scanned me and discovered it was a brain hemorrhage. So they couldn't do anything, and they admitted me. And I remember being wheeled on this trolley, and I could see the sign as I went into the stroke ward, and it said acute stroke unit. And I realised at this stage it must be something pretty serious. And I remember lying in this bay, and I was absolutely terrified. I just had visions of myself being in a care home and never being able to walk again. And it was funny, just something inside me. I got to the point where I was so frightened, is that I said to myself, I've just got to take control, I've got to do something. So I took this pad which my wife had brought in, and I was writing, and I was so lucky because I'm left-handed, so I could write, and I was writing on this pad. When I wake up, I'll feel my right side. When I wake up, I'll feel my right side. You know, I don't know if you were when you did lines at school, but you had to write these lines one after the other. And in the night, funnily, my right foot began to twitch involuntarily. And when I woke up, I said to the staff nurse, I had this. My right foot was swiveling. It was twitching. It was doing all these strange things. And she said, "Oh, well, that's a good sign. Looks like the movement's coming back." And it was the strangest of feeling. I remember sitting up in the bed and looking around me, and there was very, very sick people, and the man opposite me was on some sort of life support, like a respirator or life support um, system, and the only way he could communicate, he had some almighty stroke, the only way he could communicate was through blinking. And I just kept saying to myself, you're so lucky you're alive, you're so lucky you're alive. And I just decided I was going to get better. I just ran this film of being a better man, back with my family each day. This film never left me, and one night I had this dream, and I dreamt I was walking, and it was such a vivid dream that I pinched myself. I remember I pinched myself because I wanted to check it wasn't a dream, and of course I pinched myself so hard I woke up, and I remember waking up and telling the medical staff that I'd had this dream. I was walking again, and it was for me it was a miracle, because 4 days later I took my first steps and started to walk. And by that I mean literally first steps. So I could just with with um, with some support, you know, well, not support, unaided. I could just make these few steps, and then I was off really. And then by that I mean I was able, or I was allowed rather, to take small steps very slowly to go to the toilet. And that actually had been one of my first goals, about being able to walk to the toilet. And I remember the time before before I actually took those first steps, I remember lying in bed and just watching everybody walk. I wanted to say to them, you know what, you're so lucky you can walk. I remember being absolutely obsessed watching people walking. And as I pad through Madeira, I just keep having these flashbacks really to 2008 and self and now. And it's funny because before my stroke, my wife used to say to me, we live on an estate which is near a country park. She always used to say to me, why don't you go walking at lunchtime? And I always used to say, oh, I'm too busy, I've got too much work to do. And now, of course, every time I walk, it's with great gratitude, in memory of back in 2008 when I couldn't. So, lovely opportunity here, is walking through these wonderful streets in Madeira, just to think back to 2008, what I went through really, and how different my life would have been if I hadn't made that great recovery, how I hadn't had that level of determination, if I hadn't run that film of every moment of every day, just seeing myself a better man, would I be making this? Would I be making this small little tour around Madeira now? I just feel so blessed, really. So I guess the message here is whatever happens to you, whatever setback befalls you, it's just never give up. It's just keep running a film, being a better person. Just think of something that makes you feel better each moment of each day. It takes you forward. You keep moving forward, however small those steps are, just take you forward in your recovery. But one of the key things that helped me so much in this story was keeping a diary and journal. In the spirit of having written those lines, when I wake up I'll feel my right side, I realised that actually writing made me feel so much better. And by feeling better, I was then able to focus on a way forward. And the thing about keeping a diary and journal is that it trains your brain to focus on good stuff. And that's what you need to do when you have a severe setback. You just need to keep looking forward. With each step, you actually make progress. And you don't know it at the time, but when I look back and I read that diary and journal, I realise that helps so much. It's just noticing the good stuff each day. And also as a learning mechanism, really, because you have to manage your mood. You have real big ups and downs. It's a real roller coaster. Because when you have a severe health setback, you want to get better right now. You want to be better now. And of course you can't. And sometimes it takes a very long time. And you have to manage that gap of where you are now to where you want to get to. And the diary enables you to do that, because you can track your progress. And always our brain wants us to be better now. And yet if you write things down, you can actually see your progress. It makes an enormous difference. And also when stuff doesn't work, then you can learn from it. And ask yourself the question, what do I need to do differently next time in order to get the outcome that I want? So I'm so lucky now. I'm in the position where this year we released, with the help of the Clinical Health Department of Oxford Brookes University, released an app based on my seven steps to recovery from a stroke. My vision is that the path that I took, where I was able to make such an amazing recovery, is that others can tap into, and the app will be a mechanism in order to do that, as well as many other things. And I just think, and I hear so many other stories, it could have been so different. What would I have done? But it's funny because I never not getting better wasn't an option really. I was so determined. Part of that determination was visualization. As I said, running films of just being better. And as part of my rehabilitation, interestingly, because I had no right hand, it was just a locked fist. I had to visualize my fingers opening, and one of the exercises my physio gave me was to open and close my left hand and to see my right hand opening. And I remember it was funny because when she first got me to do the exercise, I was opening and closing my left hand and looking at my right hand and just thinking, what am I doing this for? And yet I remember from all my training communication expertise, of course visualization is such a powerful process, and it works. So I knew in my heart of hearts, if I kept imagining my right hand opening, then I would certainly increase the possibility of it doing so. And of course the wonderful thing was, as I did the exercise on a daily basis, my fingers began to flicker, and then the flicker transformed into slow movement. And then after 2 weeks I was actually able to open my hand completely. And that was wonderful. That was a wonderful milestone in my recovery, because I could actually take the top off the toothpaste. And also I remember someone, well, That's right, I was a relative coming into my room, and I was able to say, look what I can do. I can shake your hand. And I remember being so proud. It was such a wonderful moment. I couldn't walk, but I could stand up and I could actually shake her hand. It was such a wonderful feeling. So whatever you're going through, just keep going. Keep running those films. Never give up. Small steps, and you'll get there. You'll have a life after whatever's happened to you. Small steps.